Lesson 3. Levels of Government. I will know why the United States has 3 levels of government and what each level does. Vocabulary. Mayor, council, governor, census. Write why schools are important to a community. There are 3 different levels of government in our country: local, state, and national. Each level provides services to citizens. Each level of government is given the right to govern by the people. The consent of the governed. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote that government gets its power from the consent of the governed. That means that since the people set up the government, they give the government its power. It also means that the people have the power to change the government. The United States is a constitutional republic. The people give the government power by voting for leaders. They elect officials to act for them, or govern. The U.S. Constitution describes the way officials are elected and what their duties are. The U.S. Constitution is the highest law in the country. Sometimes people want to change the Constitution. Changes to the Constitution are called amendments. Representatives in both parts of Congress vote on amendments. If Congress approves the amendment, it goes to the states for approval. If 38 of the 50 states approve the amendment, the Constitution is changed. Each state also has its own constitution. In most states, changes to state constitutions must also be approved by the people before they can be made. The current Texas Constitution was passed in 1876. Since then, voters have passed amendments to their Constitution 474 times. The people expect their elected officials to act on their behalf. If people are unhappy with their officials, they can act. They can share their opinions at town meetings. They can call or write to their officials to discuss issues facing their city, state, or even the country. They can also elect new officials in the next election. 1. Local government. Cities and towns have local governments that serve their community. These governments can be organized in different ways. The way a city or town government is organized is described in the city or town charter. A charter is a legal document that describes what the powers of the local government are. In some cities and towns, people elect a mayor or city manager as the head of the executive branch. A mayor is a leader of the community. The people who make the rules and laws in a community are part of a city or town council. A council is a group that makes laws. Council members are often elected. These lawmakers make up the legislative branch. In some cities and towns, the council appoints someone as city manager to carry out the council's laws. Sometimes the mayor of a city or town is chosen from the council. The judicial branch is made up of a city's or town's courts. A judge decides what happens to people who do not follow laws. Sometimes a jury, or a group of citizens, decides if a person broke a law. Many local judges are appointed by the mayor or council of the city or town in which they serve. However, some local judges are elected. The local government provides many services that people in the community use every day. It is in charge of the police department and the fire department. The local government also provides schools, libraries, and parks. It makes sure that trash is collected. It may also cut down trees that have been damaged in storms. The local government takes care of roads. It paves roads so they are smooth, paints lines on roads, and puts up signs so the roads are safe for drivers. Where does the local government get the money to pay for all these services? Some money comes from the state government. Other services are paid for by the taxes that the local government collects. Local governments collect taxes on property, such as homes and businesses in the city or town. Some local governments can also charge sales tax on items you buy. Local government also charges its citizens a fee to use some of its services. These fees help pay for the service. For example, many large cities provide buses for transporting people in the city. However, people must pay to ride the bus. State government. Each state has a state government that runs it. The states also have constitutions. State constitutions describe the responsibilities of the governor, the legislature, and the courts. The governor is the head of a state's executive branch and is elected by the people in the state. The governor can appoint officials to help carry out laws. The state legislature makes laws for the state. Nearly all 50 states divide the legislative branch into the Senate and the House of Representatives. The people in each state elect the members of their state legislature. These lawmakers meet in the capital in the state's capital city. State governments also have courts in their judicial branch. Judges who work in state courts listen to issues that local courts could not solve. In some states, judges are elected by the people. In others, judges are appointed. The state government provides services, too. It decides the rules for voting, such as if a person must show identification. State governments also work with local governments to keep up state highways. Some of these services are paid for with money from the national government. Others are paid for with taxes the state collects. 4. Identify and write the name of your governor and your state representatives. Explain how they are chosen. National government. The three branches of the national or federal government serve as a model for local and state governments. The President, members of Congress, and the Supreme Court justices share the responsibilities of running the country. The President and members of Congress are chosen by the people. The President appoints Supreme Court justices. The President also appoints people to the Cabinet to advise on issues. The national government provides services that cities and states do not. Some of these services are paid for with taxes. Other services are for people who use the services. The national government prints paper money and makes coins. It runs the United States Postal Service. It is in charge of trade between states and between countries. The national government also manages the national parks. The national government serves the whole nation in other ways too. Every 10 years, the national government takes a census, or a count of the population. This count helps the government decide how much money different communities need. The national government can also organize an army to protect the nation or its people. The government sometimes has soldiers help people and communities after harsh storms. Governments work together. Even though the local, state, and national governments all have their own responsibilities, they often work together. They work together to complete large projects, such as building roads, bridges, and buildings. Local and state leaders may also ask the national government for help if there is a storm or disaster, and they need resources to provide help to their citizens. The three levels of government do similar kinds of work. They all collect taxes from citizens. This money is used to pay for the services the governments provide. The national government collects taxes on the money people earn from their jobs. Some states also collect this tax. Local governments collect taxes on items people buy and on homes and businesses they own. Local governments also rely on money from the state to fund services. States rely on money from the national government to fund services. The courts in all three levels also work together. If a local court does not resolve an issue, the case moves to a state court. Cases that are not resolved by state courts may then be decided by the United States Supreme Court justices. 6. Explain how each level of government pays for the services it provides.